So what are the 10 best picks of the Kansas City Chiefs Andy Reid era? We're going to talk about it right here on the Red, Gold, and Bold. Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, Soren Petro with you. First, some business to take care of, at least some news to get through. Rashee Rice cleared by the league office. We'll talk about that. The Chiefs have added cornerback Kyer Elam to the secondary. We'll discuss that. Then we'll get into, we're going to go 1 through 10. We're going to alternate. Each one of us will pick it up, kind of draft style. So we got to argue our point for who we think is the highest. The 10 best picks by value. It includes where they were picked, but it includes what they've given to the franchise. We're doing that right here, right now on the Red, Gold, and Bold.
You are listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Sam McDowell is a columnist for the Kansas City Star. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the Best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. Talking a little Chiefs football here after we a little late today. We had some official work, real work to do. I don't know, real work, other work to do. So we're running a little bit late here tonight, but still with you. And then had travel and everything last week. So we appreciate everybody giving us a little patience here. But let's get right to it. Rashee Rice cleared by the league office. Jeff, are you surprised that this came back? Took forever to try to get a ruling on a suspension, but all done. Got this one all figured out already. Are you surprised by this at all?
The only surprise is that it happened so quickly, given some of the things that have happened in the league office recently, especially with Rashee Rice. It seems to be a longer timetable involved in this, but it probably tells you that the expedience of it probably tells you that there's not a lot to it. And it's always tough when you have he said, she said type situations. And I know Rashee Rice is a very sexy name when it comes to getting into hot water and scandalous situations. But I think the NFL would not have backed him on this so quickly if they did not believe in what they were saying. So to me, it does speak to this was probably more of a situation where his ex-girlfriend was not happy with him for whatever reason and wanted to punish him for whatever reason, and it did not work out.
Sam, you surprised at how quick this came about?
Yeah, but I guess I'm surprised. Now we haven't seen like the league come to the forefront of this in this manner. The fact that, I mean, that they've actually spoken and say that they're not going to suspend a player. Like, to me, that's a unique situation in the league. I think usually we just have to assume that they're not going to make a comment, but I just think it's just a reminder that we shouldn't need, which is that an accusation does not equal guilt. But in the same manner, I'll say that a lack of suspension also does not mean innocence. But I mean, you should be presumed innocent. And there were a lot of people, even those in the media, who were quick to cut Rashee Rice. And everybody deserves their day in court, or in this case, it very much seems like the NFL doesn't believe this even deserves a day in court at all. So I just think it's really easy to react to this stuff, and now it's becoming the harder thing is to abstain until we have more information. And the league got more information here and determined that it was not worthy of a suspension.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point that you make there, Sam. Jeff, how about the side of, okay, there's no suspension. It doesn't mean he didn't embarrass the Chiefs franchise. Yet again, it's the same situation that he had dealt with. One of a number of different situations had, but this one, they'd been through this process with an accusation that was out there on social media. Then it gets retracted and everybody thinks, okay, it's gone away. Then now there's going to be a civil lawsuit. That lawsuit can still play out, right? I'm just because the league is not, going to suspend it doesn't mean that goes away. That also means that there will still be stories being written and accusations flying around, and it's not going to be a pleasant time for the Kansas City Chiefs, Jeff. This clearly doesn't just mean that let's slap out the 5-year extension for this guy right now.
Oh, by no means. I mean, I have a hard time believing Rashee Rice will be here after his contract expires after next season. A lot of things have happened with him. The production has not been there as well, which is important to note. And so, would you trust him to be more mature with more money in his pocket than what he's been under a rookie contract? And the obvious answer is no. And so, I think, look, it's, again, I'm not going to try to defend him here. I don't know exactly what happened. It's always dangerous to jump into these kinds of waters. But this does feel more like, Tyreek Hill and his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, baby mama, whatever it was, with the video that came out before 2019 season, 2019 season. And I do think it's good to be fair to people, to give, as Sam said, people the opportunity to defend themselves and to proclaim their innocence. I think about Xavier Worthy, a situation last offseason with a woman that went away pretty quickly. And so it's as murky and messy as it sounds. There are situations that players find themselves in where they may have not done anything wrong, but said be associated with the wrong person at the wrong time, or a relationship has gone bad. And so you can't hold that against somebody. I think that would be really wrong.
Yeah. Poor judgment can have many layers, and many times that it comes back to one bad decision can bite you a number of different times. Sam, I think it is an interesting parallel and an obvious parallel to what the Chiefs went through with Tyreek Hill that Jeff makes there. I think it's a very good one. And with Tyreek Hill, to Jeff's point, Rashee Rice is not productive as Tyreek Hill, but it did present an opportunity for them to put forth a contract without guaranteed money, basically, and say, all right, we'll pay you, but we're not going to guarantee the money. So if there had been another problem, they could walk away and not get stung by the contract. Do you think that becomes a possibility in this situation, or do you agree with Jeff that this is it? This is the final go-round for Rashee Rice in a Chiefs uniform?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to look at the Chiefs' own history here, and this has not been enough to preclude them from drafting these players. I mean, Rashee Rice had baggage before he was even drafted.
That's right.
Tyreek Hill had baggage before he was even drafted. The Chiefs still determined that those were risks that they thought were worth taking. My other point on the fact that, I mean, like Strin, you mentioned the fact that, I mean, heck, it could be a woman trying to take advantage of a situation. Totally emphasis on could there. But the reason that he's susceptible is because of what has been on camera, what he has pled guilty to. Like, these are some of the consequences that you later face when you get in trouble yourself. Like, some of the corners that Rashee Rice has been put in has been self-inflicted, and that thing is still real, as are all the pre-draft things, and they have more information on that than we do. But Andy Reid acknowledged that they were aware of that, and they drafted him anyway. So I wouldn't say it would preclude them from doing it, but he's in the news a lot, and it's not always a good lie. I will say I disagree with the fact that he hasn't been productive. He's averaged 72 yards a game the last 2 seasons. He hasn't been available to be as productive as he should be. I mean, he's played 12 games in the last 2 seasons, playoffs included. Like, he hasn't been on the field. And to me, that's the biggest issue that the Chiefs face, because some of it is self-inflicted.
Yeah, some of it is self-inflicted, for sure. I'll probably land somewhere in between the two of you. I mean, I do think he's, like, when I hear people try to tell me that he's the number 1 wide receiver, or the Chiefs believe he's the number 1 wide receiver, I don't think he's that.
To be clear, I didn't say that either.
No, I know. I'm talking about somebody else. I don't see that, but I do think this is a pivotal year for him. And I think the idea, like, I struggle to find the path that keeps him here. The better he plays, the more he's empowered to hit the free agent market, the less likely the Chiefs are to give him a bunch of money. And some desperate losing team, well, the Chiefs may be a losing team again next year, we'll see. But a desperate team would seemingly be willing to, I mean, we see the Cleveland Browns do it all the time. Give guaranteed money. They did it with Deshaun Watson, right? Like, give guaranteed money to a player at risk. And if he plays poorly, you don't want to sign him. Like, if he's not productive. So it's a very narrow, like, don't be so good that some desperate team will give you gobs of guaranteed money, but don't be so bad that you don't want him, right? That's just such a narrow path to try to navigate to where I think this would come together.
Well, I don't even know what is his market right now? Like, who would you compare him to as far as the highest paid receivers in the game? Like, where would he fall? He wouldn't even be in the Jalen Waddle category, who's a $28 million a year receiver. And so you start going farther and farther down the pecking order. Like, what average salary would you be comfortable giving to him? Because to me, he's very replaceable, which is how you should look at it when you're talking about.
Well, for other teams,
yeah, he hasn't been replaceable for this team.
Yeah,
for other teams,
yeah. And so, is it hard to find a receiver who's not healthy, who has only played 12 games in the last couple of years and gets in all kind of trouble? I don't think that's hard to find. I'm not paying top dollar for that.
I'll say this. I think, look, they did fire their offensive coordinator. They seem to be headed in a different direction offensively. So if you look at it and go, I really like his talents, I don't know why they're using him this way, and you think there's another way to use him, then you could be buying on the cheap. But he's not that young either, is he, Sam? He's, as I recall, like, I don't know if you remember off the top of your head exactly how old he is, but as I recall, he was not one of those, like, he's 21. He
turns 20. He turns 26 in a couple of months. So he's fairly young to hit free. I mean, he'll be hitting free agency. He'll be signing a deal at 26, going into his age 27 season.
He's not old.
I don't think there's a better way to use Rashee Rice. Like, I think they're getting what they can get out of him. He's a guy who's terrific against zone, who struggles against man coverage. The league is playing more zone, but the back half of the season, because of the way the Chiefs tore up zone, they saw a lot of man coverage, and he didn't have the same production that he did it against man that he had against zone.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think I just haven't seen him run any routes effectively down the field. I mean, I think he's a kind of a limited receiver.
Not a burner. Yeah.
But I would be open to hearing he's not a burner. Yeah, he's not a go route guy. But he doesn't even, there are guys running 4.51s, which is what he ran at the combine, that, can get open on a 15-yard out. He's not one of those guys, though. I mean, we just don't see it. We see slants and bubble screens. That seems to be the extent of the route, and crossing routes. That seems to be the extent of the routes that he can run. So I think it'll be interesting. It does clear the way for him to have 17 games if he can stay healthy, where he can play, and we'll get an answer as to what he is in this offense. How about Kyer Elam coming in? This was a guy that the Chiefs basically jumped when they moved up to get Trent McDuffie. He would be the next cornerback taken, I think, 3 picks after Trent McDuffie. The Chiefs obviously felt McDuffie was the better player. They've been proven right. He went a few picks later to the Buffalo Bills. He's since played for a couple more teams, and was released at one point last year. Jeff, how would you describe, so much of the focus is on former first-round pick. Very little of it is on released, right? Like, he's billed more as former first-round pick when Chiefs fans talk about him. He is a player that was released. What do the Chiefs get in Kyer Elam?
This feels more like a project to me. This reminds me a lot of, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he was on the Chiefs back in when they played that big Josh Allen game against the Bills, and he got turned around.
DeAndre Baker?
Yeah, that's the guy. That's
Georgia guy, yeah.
Yeah, and he got turned around and fell down. Was that him? I'm thinking of. There are 2 guys who were like that. One guy came from the Vikings. Maybe it was him. But this is Brett Veach. I mean, he's a former first-round pick, so that makes him a sexy. Let's see if he can still play. We had a high grade on him. Didn't work out. But when you're getting released from Buffalo, who went out and drafted another corner this past year before they got rid of him, when you can't play in Dallas, who they're dumping corners left and right there, it's hard to believe you're going to come here and all of a sudden resuscitate your career. This feels more like a shot in the dark. Let's see if we get a lottery ticket here. maybe a better version, a lesser version of Christian Fulton, but I just don't see where it's going to work out very well. If he's on the team, I'd be surprised given the way his career has gone.
One of the ways I like to describe it is more likely to start or more likely to be cut. Sam, which do you think?
Oh, well, I mean, cut for sure. I don't think that's a difficult question. I mean, but look,
I think it's important to do that because I think he's being sold as this former first-round pick amongst fans. I don't think the Chiefs are selling him like that, but I think amongst fans, and I think it's important to note that we'll take a flyer. We'll see what we got here. Maybe he'll be something, but I think it's important to quantify that. Jeff, you'd agree, more likely to be cut than start.
Oh yeah.
We're all on the same page on what we think the probable outcome of this is that he's a bottom of the depth chart guy or he's cut.
Yeah, but that's not a bad gamble to take.
No.
I mean, because there was a reason he was a first round pick. Like there was some talent there. And by the way, the Chiefs obviously like Trent McDuffie more, but they liked Elam too. And there were a lot of teams that liked Elam. And if he doesn't go to the Bills, I still don't think he survives day one I don't think he's waiting for day two, at home on his couch. I just think that you might as well take a chance on guys like this, but with the total reality check that you can't be counting on him to enter camp as some sort of starter or even like high-level producer, and therefore you're good at the position. Like this changes nothing about the way you're building your roster at cornerback.
Does it change, Jeff, how they view the draft?
It shouldn't. I would not say I got a veteran corner in here, a former first-round pick, so no, I'm good. I mean, I still believe that you need to get a corner somewhere in your first 4 picks of the draft. You have to find an impact player at that position because what you have right now is not improved in any way with Kyer Elam showing up. It's just you have one more unknown on your roster, and I think you need to find people that you know are knowns that you believe in. And so I think if you have a chance to draft a guy who you believe in, that's a way better choice than taking a flyer on this guy.
Does it make it a little bit easier to pass on a corner, Sam, or no? Not at all.
I just don't think it should change their plans at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they added some depth. That's great. They were going to sign somebody. The fact that he's a former first-round pick means something to a lot of people, but I think in reality, this is somebody. Is what they've added.
Two words. Somebody.
Somebody. But again, with a pedigree, where at one point he was all SEC, so maybe there's a little bit more there in the tank. We'll talk a little bit about who the best picks have been for the Kansas City Chiefs in the draft since the Andy Reid era began. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Concrete season is in full swing and asphalt paving is revving up. So right now is the time to get your property on the schedule with Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Whether you need new concrete work, a parking lot repaved, crack filling, seal coating, or full asphalt installation, their experienced crews handle it all right here in Kansas City. Don't wait until the rush hits. Call today for a free bid and secure your spot before the calendar fills up. Get the process started right now at GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait. Get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222. Or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. All right, let's talk about the best draft picks in the Andy Reid era. We're taking into account when they were taken. So like if you got somebody with the last pick of the draft and he ended up being as productive as somebody who went in the first round, you would say the better pick was the guy who went in the last round. So that does factor into it. But the overriding thing, I think, is going to be their value to the franchise. And we all agreed when we put our list together that Patrick Mahomes would be #1, that is the best pick of this era. No doubt about it. They traded up to do it. It was a dynamic move. So we're taking that off the board. That's #1. We're not taking it off the board, but we're going in and placing it #1. Now we're going to take turns. We like to do this draft style. Sam really pushed hard for this because it makes you fight for and bump up what you think is the most important. And it gives us a variety of things. We don't all just go, top 3 guys. I got a feeling I know what the top 3 are going to be now. At least 2, 3, and 4 are going to be right now in some particular orders. That's the interesting part, what order it will be. But now we get a chance to fight for it. I think it's after 4 that it's going to get interesting. Real quick, always like to check. Did you learn anything from doing this, Jeff, when you put it? Did something jump at you that surprised you when you looked over all the drafts?
I think when you add value to it, it certainly, which was a great suggestion by Sam, it definitely changes the perspective on it. It also, I try to not give too much credit for guys who are playing on Super Bowl teams. I thought it was important to evaluate them individually and on the draft pick. And that if they help, that's great. But I didn't want to inflate people because they were part of a championship. And so for me, the value was more in the player, not exactly the timing of them being on the roster.
Okay. Sam, what'd you learn?
Well, I just now learned that Jeff's wearing a Michigan shirt, which proves I was the guy who was late tonight. I'm just now noticing this.
That's right.
I think I'll actually save my thing for later because I think it'd spoil too much of my list.
Okay.
But I do have a takeaway from this.
Okay, interesting. Good. We'll do that at the end. All right. Well, let's get going, Jeff. You've got the honors. Where are you going to go? Who, after Patrick Mahomes, has been the best, most valuable draft pick of the Andy Reid era?
Well, it's Travis Kelce, although it was a tougher call between him and Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill was a 5th-round pick who did not play wide receiver, at least full-time. He had to turn into a wide receiver when he got here. He was a kick returner, gadget-type player. But Travis, obviously, given his career and the way it's played out, and, he's going to be one of the – he might have a case for being the greatest tight end ever by the time he's done, certainly number 2. And just to be a 3rd-round pick, coming in, a former college quarterback, a guy who had obviously a stain on his record with a marijuana, kicked out of school for you. There were so many things that he had to get through, and nobody, when he showed up here, was saying the Chiefs have a guy who's going to be foundational, one of the best players to ever do it when he walked in the building. And so hats off to John Dorsey for making that pick because there were other people who were there. I believe was Zach Ertz, the guy that they were that drives Travis Kelce crazy, who wound up in Philadelphia. I think this was an amazing pick, and it's hard to bet against it.
Okay. Yeah, I have no problem. Like I said, I think the first 3 guys in some order are there. He was not tops on my board, though. He was not the guy that I had number 2. So if I'd had this pick, it would not have been Travis Kelce. I'll say that. Sam, you?
Yeah, I'm gonna save the other one for you then. I think because I have Chris Jones.
Okay.
Look, I mean, he's by far I think the best defensive player they've taken. A 3-time All-Pro. He's twice more been a second team, or 3 times more been a second team All-Pro for I think it was 7 straight years. He was top 5 and interior defensive lineman among pressures. He's been the Patrick Mahomes of the defense for this franchise. And, I mean, he also made a big play in the 2018 AFC Championship game and somehow got called for roughing the passer. I don't think they win the San Francisco Super Bowl without him that day. I don't think they win without Patrick Mahomes either, but I don't think they win without Chris Jones that day. And the other guy on the list, I'll just point out they've won 2 Super Bowls without him.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So would Chris Jones have been your number 2 if you had the number 2 pick, Sam?
No, I had Kelce ahead, but it was not easy. I will say that just because of the I mean, look, it comes down to the position. I mean, interior defensive lineman just being that dominant versus the tight end. But I mean, Kelce's operated as a receiver most of his career.
Well, if you had my list, Chris Jones would be right where you have him, but Travis Kelce would be down at this spot right here because I had Tyreek Hill number 2. I had Kelce or Chris Jones number 3, and then I had I had Tyreek Hill, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce. I think they're all close.
Can I ask you something about Tyreek Hill? Did you criticize the Chiefs for taking a guy with that kind of baggage at the time?
I did not. Well, did I criticize him? I pointed out that it's a big risk.
Yeah.
I pointed out that in the 5th round, this is where you do it.
Tyreek, I'm just going to say Tyreek was not in my top 4 because of that aspect of it.
And so here's where he came to the top, because I think my list will reflect this a little bit later on. Patrick Mahomes is the top pick for sure, but what they did to set up Patrick Mahomes to succeed is a big part of the equation of the success that they've had. And they didn't do it. I don't think they spent from 2013 through 16 going, okay, for these 4 years, this is how we have to do things, because then we're going to drop in this quarterback and then it's all going to work. But the picks, having Tyreek Hill to stretch the field and allow Patrick Mahomes to go, and I think all of these guys, I have nothing to disagree with Chris Jones, but having Travis Kelce as the security blanket, no doubt. And we've had this conversation before. Who has been more important, Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill? And I think you can argue either side, and you're not dumb, regardless of which side you argue. I feel like for Travis Kelce, yes, they have won more Super Bowls, but like Jeff, he went on to play even better football, or at least statistically have his best years with the Miami Dolphins. So while he didn't, wasn't here for 3 Super Bowls, they did win Super Bowls without him. It wasn't because he wasn't good. And I also think that, you can make a case that they should have won the one against the Bengals, I think. And when they lost to the Bengals, I think they would have beaten the Rams that year. And they did go to a couple with him. I know they've gone to 3 without him. But I just, to me, having that guy, that Patrick Mahomes could send the ball down the field, that could be that dynamic weapon, that can make this. He was the guy that scared defenses. And I think, that was a huge part, of what made this offense what it was. So, I that's why I went Tyreek Hill. And I'm happy to put him here on our list. It's fine that he goes here, but to me, he's number 2, because I don't know that Patrick Mahomes, and you can say the same thing about Travis Kelce, but I don't know that this offense became the feared entity that it was without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I don't have any dispute with the player at all. I don't want to be the hypocrite, because if I was a columnist at the time, I would have really criticized the pick given his background.
Yeah, but I don't think. But
then come back and say, because that background is still true. I mean, that part didn't change. People's assessment of the player might have.
I would disagree that the background did change. I think when you heard the audio of the girlfriend, and I think the audio draws into question what really did happen in Stillwater, Oklahoma. I think it did evolve. I'm not going to say it's like we said, just because, Rashee Rice isn't getting suspended doesn't mean that there weren't problems that happened there. There were definitely problems. It was not a good situation.
He pled guilty.
Yeah. But when the audio, when he's like, that didn't happen, and she doesn't contest it. Again, it draws into question. So I think it did bring about a different light to the just open and shut case, bad guy, beat up woman, to that point. And
it's not the only accusation that's followed Tyreek Hill since. I mean, you mentioned the 2 seasons he had in Miami were terrific. He was in the news for a lot of wrong reasons too.
He is. Yeah. Listen, he's good enough to be an a-hole, to quote Buddy Bell. He is. There is no doubt he is a handful, and I don't know that he'll ever play another down of football, because I don't know that he is worth. He's going to come back. Those guys, like we've talked about it a lot, about Jerry Rice, and when guys get old, we've talked about it with Travis Kelce, that the guys not knowing that they're not the same elite player anymore. And I think once you go diva, you don't come back. Nobody ever became less of a diva. As Antonio Brown's skills eroded, he didn't calm down and become more of a team player. And so now you're going to bring in a guy who's, let's be honest, broken, trying to rebuild himself, and he's going to figure to be a handful. No, I think his career is probably over in the NFL, but he was a phenomenal football player.
Well, and I would add to that, because he was second on my list after Kelce, and Jones was 3. But I would add that he brought value in the way that Soren's talking about, in terms of the dangerous nature of the offense. But he brought value when he left as well. because all those picks they got for him set them up for dynasty.
Absolutely
factor in because it does factor into my list elsewhere.
I'm trying to think hang on, let me look here and see what that means, what you're setting up here. Okay. I think I know one of the names that's coming then. Well, I think I maybe okay. Now I see the obvious one that's coming. Okay. All right. We'll pause on that note. We've got picks 5 through 10 and what they have meant for the Chiefs, what it means, as far as the best picks in the Chiefs era. Do it after you hear from our friends at Northland Injury Law. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222, or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Gann Asphalt and Concrete is looking to grow their team. If you have heavy construction foreman experience with heavy equipment, asphalt or concrete labor, or just want to learn a new trade, contact Gann Asphalt and Concrete to join their team today. Top of the market pay, company provided insurance, and paid time off and holiday pay are just a few of the great reasons to join Gann's expanding team. Learn more about this great opportunity with Gann at GannAsphalt.com/careers. That's GannAsphalt.com/careers. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. All right. By the way, speaking of the Michigan garb, congrats, Jeff.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Pretty impressive squad.
Hey, Bill Self should take some notes. Dennis Gates, whoever that guy is coaching K-State, don't remember his name, but this is how you build a team in the transfer era. Look at what Dusty May did at Michigan. 8-24 2 years ago, national champs 2 years later.
Not 8-24 under Dusty, but 8-24 the year before he got there. Alexander, I'm not even going to try because I always put the wrong first name in front of the new K-State coach, but I know his last name's Alexander.
It's not Casey. Kwame Alexander.
Casey, no, Casey. We're going to go with Casey. I'll stick with that because Sam's better with the names.
Our listeners don't think we're live. We're live, guys.
Yeah.
Do it live.
Because we went
do it live.
Who said?
I've said twice we're late. Why would we record and start it late?
Who's the Cluzo?
Come on.
Piece that one together. Oh man. We're live. I mean, what do you want me to? I'm trying to find a good. Who did Sam have 3 and 4? There you go. Matt has.
Well, it's your boy Tommy Moe that is doubting that we're live.
Oh,
we'll see 3 and 4. We're getting ready to do it. We're doing them in order.
Yeah. Forget about it. We'll find out. We're going to find out here in the process, Matt. So, all right, Jeff is up at number 5. Jeff, who's next on your list?
I've got Creed Humphrey, and he's the best center in football. He was the second of 2 second-round picks in 2021, and he was part of stabilizing an offensive line that needed to be stabilized after the Chiefs obviously had a rough day against the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. And for me, he has been, you can make an argument that he might have been the most valuable player on last year's offense and the way he played. And he's been a rock since he showed up. And I don't have a bad word to say about the guy. He's just a very talented player, soon to be a Ring of Honor type player. And because he's a second round pick, that gives you more value to it.
Yeah. Okay. I did not, let's see, did I have him that high? I did not have him that high, but I don't mind him being there.
Same here. Didn't have him that high. Don't think it's outrageous to have him that high though.
No. He was coming up pretty quick for me. All right.
If it's someone Jeff doesn't have any bad words to say about, was his quote.
That's right.
He should be high on the list.
That's right. There we go.
Because Jeff usually
I'm always ripping people.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah,
he can find some critiques in some players.
yeah.
I will say 3 years ago, there were a lot of bad things to say about Creed Humphrey because he could not snap the ball
Yeah.
with consistent regularity. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for solving something that was putting him in the spotlight.
Yeah. Okay.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. No, Creed Humphrey's been a tremendous player, and I think center is more important than guard. I think everything he's done, he's been fantastic. And I think he's going to look even better when they try to play a little more power football. I think we're going to see a whole nother dimension to him. So, yes, I absolutely love Creed Humphrey, and he was going to come up pretty quick for me. Sam, should I put down Trent McDuffie right now for you, or what do you think?
Yeah, I do. So I do have McDuffie, but I did not think this was a slam dunk. I'm interested to see who you guys have next. But it goes back to the fact, I mean, first of all, he's the best nickel corner in the game, and he's a good outside corner too. I mean, he was an all-pro. I think he was a second-team all-pro a second year. And then you get first of all, you take him at 21, then you get the value of 21 back. The total value of the package is basically the equivalent to the 20th or the 21st pick, depending on where the Rams picks wind up, that third rounder winds up next year. And so, like, I mean, you get the player for 4 years, and then you just get exactly back what it cost him. You get 4 terrific years out of him. Trent McDuffie was ready from day one, and he's a great locker room guy. I just think they'll miss him. I mean, I think that's a great trade, but they'll miss him.
If they continue to trade up and not be successful, then does that devalue Trent McDuffie because they continue to cite Trent McDuffie as the reason to trade up?
That's interesting. No, I mean, because you have to do this in a silo, right?
I just like if we're going to put in all the extenuating factors that go with it. All right. Well, so for me, I think I have the toughest pick. I think the toughest pick is right now.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You think this is a no-brainer?
I don't think it's the toughest pick. I think there's some other stuff. To be honest, I thought number 1, 2, and 3, just what order to order those 3 guys in was pretty tough.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. All right. Well, I may disappoint you. We'll see, but I go Eric Fisher here. I know he's
1-1.
I didn't have that one.
I didn't have that one either.
Yep. I go Eric Fisher here, and I'll
I guess it was tough.
It was tough for me, but I'll tell you why. Because when you look at that 2013 draft, it was not a very good draft. And there was a conversation about Luke Joeckel or Eric Fisher.
Should have taken Travis Kelce 1-1.
They could have. It would have been insane. He was old. He had been suspended for marijuana at a time that marijuana was illegal and a suspendable offense in the game. That would have been a rough go. But Eric Fisher was, again, something that solidified the offensive line. They took a smaller school guy over to an SEC player. They got it right. Eric Fisher was definitively better than Luke Joeckel. They're at a spot where you have to take a premium position. So if you go down, I'm looking at like the highest value guy. I think he was the best.
That's what I was going to check.
DeAndre Hopkins was the only guy in the first round that, according to weighted value, which is, at least one way to try to approximate it, at pick number 27 was the only guy in the first round that has a higher weighted approximate value.
Lane Johnson does. Lane Johnson was 4 overall.
You're right. I missed him.
Sheldon Richardson and him are basically even, and and then you've got
a horrible draft.
So
it was. I mean, the 2 times that they've got top 10 picks in these last 13 years are not really the 2 times you'd want top 9 picks.
But they came away with a guy that anchored the left side of their offensive line, allowed the offense to start to become something with Alex Smith at quarterback, and then allowed Patrick Mahomes to really blossom. I mean, I go back for the same reason I had Tyreek Hill there. All this was, and I'm a big believer that Tyreek Hill makes everybody around him better more than they make him better. But I do think if there's one thing that I would say is a blueprint, if I were to head out as a general manager, be like, we are going to make that offense hum when I put a quarterback in place. Like, we're going to know right away, this guy sucks, or this guy's good, because I know all these guys around him can play. And that's what they were able to do. And so Eric Fisher, they solidified the left tackle spot. You know, he wasn't the best left tackle in football ever, but he was a couple of time Pro Bowler. And I think that's right. Right? Didn't he make 2 Pro Bowls, if I'm not mistaken? I'm gonna double check that. From
He's
2 Pro Bowls.
I didn't look up any stats on Eric Fisher for this exercise.
2 Pro Bowls. And so I think it was if they take Luke Jokel, how different does it look?
It could have gone a lot worse for sure.
Because they never had to go try to draft left tackle. And we've seen what that's done to them of late, chasing with Wanya Morris and Kingsley Suamataia. I mean, I think that's part of the equation as well. If you can we all acknowledge that there's no sure things with draft picks, right? But then we don't want to acknowledge they got it right. The value of not having to redraft that. And
I don't disagree with that. It's the 1-1 part that I mean when we drafted it for value, I think you make the best case you could make for him, but the 1-1 nature of it, I think is tough for me to rank him where you have him.
Okay. I just think it was a tough draft class and they didn't blow it up. And I think that allowed them to get on to new business, because the following year, after 13, they checked that off. Kelce doesn't play that year, so they don't even know what they have in Kelce at that point. It's also the first year of a new regime, which those are almost always terrible.
He got one snap.
First draft. They're almost always terrible. And they got Eric Fisher and Travis Kelce out of that mix. A couple of guys that hung around in the league for a little bit there, and it allowed them to get on to other things later on. So yeah, I'll defend my pick. Fight it. I like that pick. Jeff,
I will. First of all, I will compliment the creativity of looking at the rest of the draft, what they could have drafted. I like the homework that was put into it. I can't quite get there.
I get an A for effort. I'll take my effort. All right, Jeff, you're next up. What do you got?
I got Trey Smith. Okay. And again, for me, this comes back to you're talking about a guy who was taken in the 6th round. And if you're able to get a quality starter that late in the draft, a guy who stepped in from day one and has been a mainstay in your offensive line, we could talk about whether he should be getting paid what he's getting paid now. I didn't agree with that contract. I know he's been to 2 Pro Bowls. Okay, 2 Pro Bowls. And so you're getting a 2-time Pro Bowl player at that round, a guy who obviously fell for reasons that didn't have a lot to do with his talent, but still to make that pick work. Probably one of the top 3 picks of the Brett Veach era, easily.
Okay. All right. I don't have any rub on that at all. I had him.
No, not at all. I mean, 226 pick. You get a 2-time Pro Bowler and potentially more at 226. I mean, that was unbelievable value. Now, obviously, he was off some boards, lots of boards, because of his medicals and the blood clot history that he had gone through in college.
Yeah. All right. Next to you, Sam.
I'm going to go with L'Jarius Sneed, 138th overall. Started as a rookie when they had injuries there. I don't know if people remember that COVID year that there was some real concern about what they were going to do at number 2 cornerback, and he solved it right away. And then he had never played slot, and they moved him to slot once they got healthy, and he became a great blitzer. I mean, he had 6.5 sacks, I think, in 3 years, involved in 17 turnovers in his 4 years. He's the only guy in the Spags era for the Chiefs that has traveled with a top receiver for a year and had a lot of penalties that year, but obviously had a terrific year, had a Pro Bowl year, came 1 vote short of being an All-Pro. And then for all that, you go from the 138th pick to getting the 72nd pick back from the Titans. And so, I mean, that's if you operated the draft like that all the time in the middle rounds, you'd be cooking.
Yeah. I have no problem with it. In fact, I wanted him to be there at number 10. I was hoping you'd find somebody else that was there. Where was Sneed on your? They also got, like you said, the draft pick back as well when he left. Where did you have him on your list?
I had Sneed 5th on my list.
Okay.
Oh wow,
yeah. 6th on my list because I did have. I didn't put Tyreek Hill in my top 10 because I knew he would be gone because I wasn't going to pick him 1, 2, or 3, and I knew you guys would. So really, he's 6th on my list.
All right, that's that makes this really difficult. It was going to be really easy if I could go L'Jarius Sneed, and I've got kind of a hodgepodge here. I don't think you're going to like where I'm going to go. I want to make sure I'm going to land on this. I am. I'm going to take George Karlaftis last. He, again, premium spot, end of first round, was on the slide. They took him anyway. Second contract, still young, plays at a high level. There are a lot of other people. I mean, if you wanted to, you can go Michael Dana at 177 if you want to just try to find. It's between him and LDT, right? LDT being in the 6, but I do think getting an edge rusher. I'm going to go George Karlaftis at number 10. Thoughts?
He didn't make my list.
Yeah, he did.
That's my thought.
He didn't make my list.
You're on an island on your own.
Yeah, you don't think it was a good pick?
I think he's in my top 13. I'll put it that way.
Okay,
but you can make a case for him. But again, I didn't put as much value into guys who were here for the Super Bowl years as other people might have, you guys might have. And so for me, his production as a player doesn't match, and his value as a player doesn't match other guys who are on my list. He's a good player, but I think there were other guys who I thought have had more successful runs here.
Well, obviously, with Eric Fisher and George Karlaftis not being on either one of your lists, then I'm the only one that
he's on my list.
I had
Fisher's on my list. Fisher's on my list.
Oh, he is on your list. Okay,
yeah, he's on my list.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So, what you look at it now? What on what our list ended up being? What major differences do you have between your list and ours? Besides, obviously, not having George Karlaftis on there.
Oh, we done?
No. I just that's all of them. Yeah, that's 10.
Is that 10? You know what's confusing me about 10 is I had 10 guys, but Streng's going off list, so it's kind of hard to keep track of what pick we're on.
Well, Mahomes, Kelce.
Yeah, you know what?
So I got Sneed at 9 then.
Yeah.
Well, the best value in this draft has been L'Jarius Sneed at 9 then.
Well,
I had Jeff, you mentioned the other guys you had then.
Yeah, I would say I had Marcus Peters at 7.
I had Peters on a 10th on my list.
No chance, not a snowball's chance in hell Marcus Peters was ever going to make my list.
Well, if George Karlaftis is on there, clearly that's not happening. He had 19 interceptions in 3 years. They've had 22 total as a team.
I don't care. He was insufferable.
But Tyreek Hill can be on the list.
They won with Tyreek
He's a great
Hill.
guy.
They won.
What?
They won.
They won when Marcus Peters was there. That's what I'm saying. That's the value as a Super Bowl.
Marcus Peters was a cancer that dragged the franchise down.
Really?
Good football player on the parts he wanted to do. Not willing to tackle anybody. He was a pain in the ass.
But they also got something back for him too, by the way.
I know, which is amazing. No chance. Was he on your list too, Sam?
10th. It was 10th on my list. But my 10th through like 13th I thought were pretty tough. The other one on my list that you guys haven't mentioned, Jalen Watson, the 7th round, is incredible. I mean, starter caliber premium position player in the 7th round, and he's making $51 million. He was 9th on my list. Other guys to consider, I mean, Kareem Hunt in the 3rd round, I think was a great pick. And then sort of the others to consider, I mean, Nick Bolton at 58 overall is good value. And probably, I guess, the last guy I really even considered was Mitch Morse.
Yeah, I consider Mitch Morse. You didn't consider Laurent Duvernay-Tardif starting for like 6?
I think he belongs probably more in the conversation than I gave him credit for.
Okay. Anybody else you'd mention as guys you gave thought to, Jeff?
You said Bolton. My last after Trey Smith, I had Peters 7th, Bolton 8th, Sneed 9th, Fisher 10th, and then I had Kareem, Jalen Watson, George Karlaftis. Others getting votes. So that's right. But again, I looked at it more from the standpoint of individual talent. And so one more argument for Marcus Peters. He's the only guy on this list who was a rookie offensive or defensive rookie of the year player. So
you can't deny the guy's ability as a ball hawk.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a tremendous ball hawk. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
He left a lot to be desired in other elements of his game. He gave up big plays as well, and he was an insufferable pain in the ass. That matters to me. Tyreek Hill was a pain in the ass, but not just by choosing today I'm going to be a pain in the ass.
So it was
I wouldn't.
Personality. Conscious effort.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I would really disagree with that.
He was a pain in the ass that was a lot better. How about that?
He was certainly a better player.
And picked a lot lower.
Yeah.
So, the Dorsey versus Veach breakdown.
Yeah, so my takeaway on this was actually that none of these players that we drafted were taken in the last 3 drafts. And I don't think that it'd be really hard. Somebody would have had to have a hell of a year in just the last draft to make the list. I mean, Josh Simmons could get there. He could make this list. I actually think Noel Williams could get there. He could make this list. But they're possibilities. I mean, it's you'd be putting him anywhere near this list based on potential. There's not really anyone I think to consider in the last 3. I mean, none of those other receiving votes that we have. I mean, did anyone consider anyone from these last 3 drafts?
I took a second look. Sorry to interrupt you there, Jeff. I took a second look at Josh Simmons. But I'm like, okay, well, that would be purely off potential. I did make a note of Rashee Rice and weigh him as something because he went in the second round, but I didn't end up doing it. So
your locker room's got the headaches. You picked them all, but just shied away from Marcus Peters.
Yeah, it also speaks to the future, the immediate future for this team, because a lot of these guys on this list were really good players early, within their first or at least second years, and there's no one in the last 3 years you can say that about. It may be Rashee Rice if you want to be generous.
Yeah, I mean,
but
if Rashee Rice was available for both reasons, because he hadn't gotten into trouble and because he hadn't gotten injured, I think Rashee Rice would be probably on all of our lists.
Yeah, but you look at Creed Humphrey, you look at Trey Smith, to McDuffie, Peters, Bolton, even Kareem Hunt.
Snead played right away. Yeah.
One of the things that jumps at me is we've got 2 from 16, 2 from 13, 2 from 22. So that's 6 of them that, like, to me, it speaks to, like, they kind of come in bunches. Like, you have a tough go, then you have a really good one, right? And you need to have a really good one. They've got to reverse engineer why they had good ones in those years. We know in 22, one of the things we all agree is they had a quantity of picks, and you could have had a third one from 22 in Jalen Watson. I'd have had no problem with Jalen Watson being on this list.
I did have him on my top 10 just because he was seventh rounder. I think when you break it down, I expected to have a higher percentage of Dorsey guys on this list than what I had. I had a higher percentage of Veach guys than Dorsey. It's just at the top of the list. The stars that, Jeff constantly talks about, like, you've got to find the next wave of stars on this team to surround. Like, those were the Dorsey guys. I mean, we all had, like I said, I had dropped Kareem Hunt, but talent wise, it's pretty clear the top 3 here were Jones, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. Yeah. I think a lot of the rest, the rest of the percentages, a lot of each guys.
Yeah, I'm surprised how many Veach guys were on there as well. I mean, I thought we were going to be heavily weighted, but I mean, when you look back to the Dorsey, after the guys that we have on the list, how many candidates did you have? I mean, like I said, the first year I had Fisher on there. You guys didn't, but Niall Davis, Nico Johnson, Sanders Cummings, Eric Kush, Braden Wilson, Mike Catapano. The next year, D. Ford, Phillip Gaines, DeAnthony Thomas, Aaron Murray, Zach Fulton, LDT. LDT got consideration for this. 2015, Peters, which is obviously a split decision, but you guys were both on board with him. Mitch Morse got others receiving consideration. Chris Conley, Steven Nelson, Ramik Wilson, DJ Alexander, James O'Shaughnessy, Raheem Nunez, Roches, Deron Brown. By the way, I did notice
that was a good draft.
Steve Nelson
That's a hell
didn't
of a
do a
draft.
whole lot with the Chiefs, but has played a lot
Great
of
elsewhere.
good football
Yeah,
elsewhere.
yeah. That's a good draft because same with Nunez Roches is like he lasted a long time in the league.
He's been around for quite a
Well,
while, but kind of a rotational guy. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say that part of that is those teams that you're talking about, those players being drafted into were very veteran heavy. And so you had Jamal Charles and Eric Berry and Derek Johnson and Justin Houston, all those guys were their star players. So you were drafting to fill voids that these guys didn't have an opportunity to be as dynamic.
Well, then when you have Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Chris Jones, I mean, isn't that dynamic at play here right now?
Yeah, that's what's happening too. Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Let me continue here. 16, Chris Jones traded down, got extra picks, and got Chris Jones. But Kaiir Russell, Parker Anger, Eric Murray, Demarcus Robinson's been a good football player. Kevin Hogan, Tyreek Hill, DJ White, Daddy Nicholas. And then his last one, Patrick Mahomes, Tano Passanio, Kareem Hunt, who they cut in his second year. Jehu Chesson, Ukemi Eligwe. I'd completely forgotten about Ukemi Eligwe. And Leon McQuay. Like, that is one of the things I came away with. Is like, the Dorsey had some really big hits. There's a lot of there's plenty of guys that didn't do anything in the Dorsey era too. I think he gets romanced because of the big boys that have meant so much to this franchise, but there's no doubt Brett Veach needs him. Chris Jones, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce hit here pretty soon. I would definitely agree with that, but I also think that I think John Dorsey's an excellent talent evaluator. I think this is just the draft. I'm not saying Dorsey stinks, but I just think a lot of people in their head, with the callers I take that are like, Veach sucks, which is ridiculous. Has he made mistakes? Sure. But they get it in their head. That's their mission. And so they build up what came before him and they tear down any of the successes that he had. Well, that wasn't him. That was Andy Reid, or that was so-and-so, all those kind of things. But I was a little surprised. I thought it was a little bit thicker in the Dorsey era than it really ended up being.
Yeah, I agree. I think, but I mean, look, it should be heavier weighted towards the stars. It is, but it also should be. I mean, those three guys, I mean, even though they won twice without Tyreek Hill, they built their defense because of Tyreek Hill too. So I mean, those three are instrumental in this dynasty. Whatever order you want to put the dynasty aspect of it, which I think we did that exercise last July. Those three guys, if we took Mahomes out like we did this, I mean, they might be the same top three picks in that exercise.
Yeah, for sure. It's impressive.
I'd also add this to, like, you think about your favorite guy, Marcus Peters and Kareem Hunt. If those two had ended up staying with this team throughout their career, like John Dorsey would be looked at a lot differently in an exercise like this, because those guys were stars. They just didn't have the same tenure with this team as you thought they were going to end up having.
But I mean, didn't he get a just outcome? Travis Kelce was a headache, but got it figured out. D Ford didn't pay attention, didn't get it figured out. Marcus Peters was a headache, didn't get it figured out. Kaiir Russell, I mean, there was some really rough rumors around what was going on there, and they ended up cutting him before he ever even got a chance to play week one as a third-round pick. There was plenty of, you talk about the risk, and Tyreek Hill was a big risk, and it paid off. I mean, I do think that's the one thing, like, they went down that character road. They paid the price sometimes, but they hit really big with two of them. Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill were both character flags, and they hit with them. I think that's a big part of the equation as well. Listen, you can always support the Red, Gold, and Bold by supporting our great sponsors. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's best. Whether you need just simple striping and signage, or maybe you need the entire parking lot rebuilt. Gann Asphalt and Concrete's been doing it for more than 30 years. One contractor, all things parking lot. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com. Our friends at Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted the number one accident lawyers in KC. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. For Jeff Chadiha, for Sam McDowell, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red Gold.